My name is Brian Parkinson. I'm a unit commander of Aqua Delta 69 and a high-level counter-espionage expert. The topic I'm going to discuss in this expose is the JFK assassination. What really happened and the answers. Who killed JFK and why? In the 1950s, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, a Massachusetts senator, and his younger brother Bobby adamantly fought against what was perceived as communism infiltrating our country. HUAC, the House Un-American Activities Commission, was formed to have hearings and recommend prosecution of people and groups that were trying to destroy the American way. Their influence was permeating every part of our society: scholastic, collegiate, religion, news of every capacity, military, law enforcement, and intelligence. HUAC was formed in the 1940s. What Senators Kennedy, McCarthy, and others perceived was correct. They just had the wrong group. What HUAC was exposing was what's called in intelligence terms the humongous surface layer. A lot of groups that had the communist socialist tag in them were actually front groups for an illegal racketeering influence corrupt organization called the Committee of 300. This treasonous crime family is headed by Elizabeth II Windsor, the Queen of England. When the British Empire got kicked out of our country in two wars, 1776 and 1812, they regrouped and reformed as the Committee of 300 in the late 1800s. If a leader or other key people won't serve them worldwide, they are either bribed, blackmailed, ruined, or killed. This was the case with our 35th and most beloved president, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Elizabeth II saw that JFK was a severe threat to her planned takeover of the United States. So in 1959, at the Winslow Hotel in London, England, Sir William Stevenson laid out the plan to kill JFK if he wouldn't go along with the Committee of 300. His plan called for 3 shooters and 1 manufactured patsy to be blamed for the killing, to be carried out by the Assassination Bureau killing teams. These were and still are the invention of British Military Intelligence Division 6, MI6. The 3 teams are Team A, Cobra Vector 1, American East Coast based; Team B, Zebra Rattler 2, West Coast, and at the time of JFK's killing, Midwest, which did in fact, of course, kill President Kennedy. And Team C is based in Switzerland and commandeered by the Swiss black nobility Ultrameyer family. They are paid for out of the purse strings of the Queen of England, Elizabeth II. This confession was made to me by killing team members. On top of the many confessions by killing team members to others and myself, we have hard evidence to prove JFK's murder and that she ordered it and who carried it out. Just watch Oliver Stone's movie JFK from 1991, where he uses the actual Zapruder film and other great actual footage. Phone Man, as we've called him for years, shown in the courtroom scene of Big Jim Garrison's case against Clay Shaw, who did help finance the killers, is none other than George Herbert Walker Bush, with his hair and eyebrows dyed black and his eyes shadowed to change his appearance. He orchestrated the visual timing for the shooters: Charles Harrelson at the Knoll, Antonio Lavalier on the 4th floor of the book depository, and Frank Sturgis inside the textile building. Excuse me. Bush gave JFK's approaching location and the signal that the shooters had completed their evil assignment. Harrelson and his 2 spotter handlers, Felix Rodriguez and ZR Rifle Team Unit Commander Ed Lansby, were apprehended immediately, along with Sturgis being apprehended inside the textile building, and 2 championship scope rifles, high-powered rifles, were removed from the building, along with him, the only occupant of the building. Lavalier and his team managed to escape the book depository. Lee Harvey Oswald, the patsy, as he himself screamed in public after he was brought to Dallas PD headquarters, was standing in front of the book depository watching the motorcade. Oswald, by the way, told Special Agent James Hosty of the Dallas FBI via a note he passed to Hosty's secretary that they were going to kill John on the 22nd or 23rd of November when he came to Dallas. This note was provided to Hosty on November the 12th. November the 17th, the warning went out to every FBI field office in America. we have a copy of this. In the Zapruder film, it is obvious to anyone who's ever shot a pistol or a rifle that the president is shot first from the front through the knot of his necktie, then in the back from the book depository, and again from the right front of JFK, and the right temporal parietal area is blown out of his head. My professional assessment is that the fatal wound was made by a .300 Weatherby Magnum, fired by Charles Harrelson, Woody's dad, the famous actor. He was caught in the act of doing exactly the same thing to a San Antonio judge some years later and was in prison until a few years ago when he passed away. Frank Sturgis made several confessions to various people that I know that are still alive. That's direct testimony. E. Howard Hunt's confession on his deathbed to his son St. John was played on the Jesse Ventura TV show, True TV Conspiracy Theory. A sworn statement with a picture of the entire Zebra Rattler Team A together 1 month before the assassination is also in safe hiding with one of our investigators. The statement names everyone in the picture, including the signee of the statement. Jack Ruby is in the picture, and of course Oswald was seen with him at his Carousel Club a few times. David Ferry, their pilot who recruited Oswald into his Civil Air Patrol unit as a youngster, is also in the photo, along with George Herbert Walker Bush. The night before the killing, a meeting was held at Texas oil man and millionaire Clint Murchison's ranch. Clint Murchison was there, along with Vice President Lyndon Johnson, who confided after the meeting to his mistress that after the next day he wasn't going to have to worry about those Kennedy SOBs anymore. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover was there, oil man H.L. Hunt was there, along with Richard Milhouse Nixon and a few other notables. They were mapping out plans for American politics and the Committee of 300's profiteering well into the 1970s and even 80s. If JFK lived to serve 2 terms, then Bobby 2 terms, and Teddy 2 terms, they could have held the White House until 1985. John Mortimer Bloomfield, a Canadian citizen and MI6 officer, was in charge of Division 5 of the FBI. He also was directing Lansby, the unit commander of Zebra Rattler 2, Team B, and Roscoe White, a ZR team member who was put inside the Dallas PD 3 months before the killing of JFK with absolutely no law enforcement experience whatsoever. Division 4 and 5 of the FBI are what are called SOD, the Special Operations Division of the FBI. Division 4 harasses people like they have me since the 1980s, and Division 5 kills them like they failed on with me since the 1980s. If they uncover any of the Committee of 300 FBI corruption, these groups are sicked on them. This, according to Frank Sturgis, one of the 3 shooters, of course, at President Kennedy, who hit Governor Connally twice. He admitted this to many people before he died. He said that Hoover has killing teams, and if anyone uncovers the corruption, he, Hoover, has them killed. Are you familiar with Hoover's harassment of Dr. and Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. for years through the mail and illegal spying? Dr. King also was killed by Raoul, a killing team mechanic, who was provided the rifle by the patsy James Earl Ray. Now the why they killed JFK. President Kennedy signed as follows Presidential National Security Amendments 05556 to take away the CIA's powers that they were misusing to start wars and coups d'etats in foreign countries. He also passed PNSA 01111 to legitimize the Federal Reserve and restore it back to we the people, and out of the hands of the Rothschild family and other Committee of 300 families that were and still are profiteering at our expense. He also put in place the V.K. Durham Trust that was mega billions of dollars in gold that was to back up our currency for when he legitimized the Federal Reserve, unlike printing up paper and having nothing to back it up, which goes on now. I believe the sum was anywhere between $24 to $48 billion, but the amount's not coming to me at this time. Also, Presidential National Security Amendment 263 was to bring all major combat troops home from Vietnam between December 1963 and March 1965. This was basically ending the Vietnam War before it escalated. The Committee of 300 plan was for it to be a 30-year war. JFK and Attorney General Robert Francis Kennedy adamantly opposed the Committee of 300 in not allowing also the drug cartel from flooding our country with illicit drugs, like they did in China before they were kicked out for making China into a nation full of coolies, as the opium addicts were called. John also made a recently played speech that outed the Committee of 300 and told how they oppose countries, freedom, and peace around the world. Bobby was killed for basically the same reasons, because the Committee of 300 feared that Bobby would reopen the investigation of Jack's death, which he stated he would do 2 weeks before he was assassinated. The Committee of 300 are mostly part Anglo-Saxon made crime family members: Elizabeth II, David Rockefeller, George Soros, George H.W. Bush, James Baker, to control the press, Ted Turner, Rupert Murdoch, Sumner Redstone, and I could go on and on. There's basically 6 people who control most of the press around the world, from the highest press entities to the lowest local entities. I've experienced and gone to all concerning all investigations I'm involved in. Crowds of Europe, the aforementioned, control the banking industry currently of the committee of members, 2 founders of the New World Order. That sound familiar? With Poppy Bush originally saying, "The New World Order." They control the UN. Earl Warren was rewarded for overseeing the cover-up of JFK's assassination as Chief Justice, a member of the Committee of 300, which entitled him to all the profiteering. Paul Special Killer, and D at the Tustine, 78, after family organization. For 9, she called affair where they should be Kennedy's district. We found this on YouTube. 2001 who drew up one great father's unit 1940.